why are we at these stairs?
There's a guy up there. You see his abs?
I can't see him.
Oh, he invited us to run stairs with him. Let's see who it is.
Oh, sure. And is he going to take us on the rest of his day too?
I mean, he said the stairs are just the beginning, but we have to get to the stairs first.
Maybe even prep your squats in the next video.
Yeah.
There might be lots of things going on, but these are first.
Oh, that guy is Stan. Stan Everything.
Yes, the old guy needs to warm up. Takes a while. This old jalopy, I'm like the Tin Man without the oil can. So it'll take me a few laps, and then you're just going to jump right in.
I'm just going to jump in now.
You're made of rubber.
Am I just supposed to run up as fast as I can and down?
As fast as you can.
Really?
That's the way this works. All right.
Okay.
Is this it?
Do you want? Well, I think we should race, John.
You want to race?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Are we allowed to skip stairs?
Yes.
Damon?
Yeah.
Well, you're not just going to hold the camera. You're going to actually help us today?
Yeah.
Teach us things?
Absolutely.
All right. You work with Stan?
I do.
All right.
I'm the co-author of the diet.
Nice. Co-author of the vertical diet.
Set. Go. Oh, shit. Tom's getting an ass whooping. I'm about to put up a serious case of whoop ass on these guys because they're going to trip over their own feet. Just you watch. So why stairs? Well, we got to get a little HIIT workout in. That's always good. Get the heart rate up. And stairs tend to be pretty low impact as compared to sprinting on the track, which you just did the other day.
Yeah.
So I've got a little bit of an advantage. I broke him down first. I let him, do all his max squat and his mile in under 7 minutes or 7:30. What was that? Something like that.
Yeah.
And so then immediately I decided I'm going to take him to the stairs and to the squats because he's already, burned out.
Who's the fastest, strongest bodybuilder, powerlifter in the world?
Go.
Oh, shit! Whoa! What's happening? Oh! That was pretty close, man. That was pretty close. That was actually close. Set, go. What the? Look at that cartoon character. Okay.
He was doing like 10 steps at a time.
I know. Yeah. I think I can beat you again.
Wait, you never beat me.
I mean, another time.
All right, ready, set, go.
Oh, that's false start. False.
Set, go. Oh shit! Right.
No! 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 Ah! I was this close. I almost caught you.
I'm feeling good. I think I got this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's. My call is he's going to trip on a step.
Well, he only takes 2 strides the whole way up.
I know.
So.
Instead of investing in EFTs or like bonds,
Yeah.
I'm investing in fucking Apple every day.
That's right.
Just nonstop,
Go!
Oh, he's going to trip. He's going to trip.
Ah!
Damn.
He did not trip.
I almost tripped. I slipped on one of those stairs down there.
Yeah. Whew. I think he only touched like 4 steps the whole way up.
All right, we gotta eat now?
Time to eat. It's always time to eat.
Is there always something to eat?
Yeah, we 5 minutes worth of exercise, another 1,000 calories. That's the way it works.
Yeah, everyone that has a garage gym, we've noticed, it's a trend. They train.
This is correct. The squat rack there is where Stan is going to be. He's going to be diagnosing your squat just so you can keep getting better at it.
Well, he's like psychic because he looked at my squat and thought that maybe I had knee pain, and that's why I changed my squat form to what it is now to avoid knee pain. But he thinks he can make it better.
We probably burned like 150 calories, so we got to put down about 1,000. So I put the world's strongest monster mash with scrambled eggs, and you know what? It's not all the way heated yet. We gotta heat it some more.
Hey Stan, how many iterations of the Monster Mash, like the meal prep company, did you do before you like settled on one?
You know, it took a little while. We tried to source the ingredients from the same place that I was previously buying all my ingredients, usually at Costco. So we got our bison from Great Range Bison out of Colorado, and we had to source some really high quality bone broth. We cook everything in bone broth or beef tallow as opposed to vegetable oil. So
wow.
Once we got everything sourced, the chefs were able to put together a good menu pretty quickly. It tastes fantastic. We just had to experiment a little bit with the ingredients, but the Monster Mash is simple. You know, it's a ground bison or ground beef. It's some white rice, a little bit of bone broth, and then we'll toss in some scrambled egg. Ours has a little bit of bacon in it,
Yeah.
so if we give that extra taste. And the deluxe version has spinach and peppers. And so it's moist, it's easy to eat. That's the one that I generally eat the most. We have a whole menu. Obviously, we have, you know, fresh caught salmon. We have. Okay, we're ready. We've got the world's strongest monster mash. A pair of those here. Hot, hot, hot. Plate these up. This is our deluxe with spinach.
Okay.
Stan has 2 microwaves.
Yes, of course. I have children. I can't be competing with my own kids for food.
You've trained with the world's strongest men.
Yes.
Now you're gonna
Eat like the world's strongest men.
Well, first thing we gotta do is salt these.
You used to be around 300 pounds and having to eat a lot all the time. Do you prefer where you're at now, where you can
Oh
eat?
yeah, it's so much easier. The hardest part about gaining mass and size and competing in, you know, a strength sport, you know, even if you're an offensive lineman in football or you're a powerlifter or a strongman, your job is really the eating. If you can't maintain a calorie surplus, you're going to stop growing and getting stronger at some point. And that becomes harder and harder the bigger you get, obviously. And there are some concerns that the types of food that you eat and the amount of body fat that you have will determine whether or not you're going to be partitioning those nutrients towards muscle, or you're going to end up with insulin resistance and fatty liver and high blood pressure and be partitioning those nutrients towards fat. So you got to be cautious about the way you do it. I think fortunately, because I dieted down, competed in bodybuilding, and then I ate up to compete in powerlifting, that I was able to resensitize my body so that when I rebounded, I was able to put on more muscle, become more insulin sensitive. And then I learned over time to use the right foods as well. We talked earlier about the fact that you need adequate choline in order to help the liver prevent fatty liver disease. And that just comes from about a dozen eggs, or about 6 eggs a day. It actually is 1,000 milligrams of choline. And the bigger you get, the more food you have to eat. I'll throw more whole eggs at the diet. And but generally, I'm trying to keep fats pretty reasonable and drive carbohydrates high, because carbohydrates are a little less likely to convert to fat as fast as fat will be stored as fat. You have an opportunity to build muscle with those carbs and to fuel workload and to create the anabolic environment inside the muscle. So that's kind of, I designed the diet specifically for gaining more muscle than fat if possible. And over time you're gonna top out, and you probably, as I'd recommend to most people, you should diet down periodically. People who compete in powerlifting or strongman and try and stay heavy all year round, I think they do themselves a disservice and potentially create the kind of body or the environment that doesn't partition nutrients very effectively. So I would recommend they take some time off and diet them down. That's what I did with Hoffler, that's what I did with Shaw. They both took off 40, 50 pounds initially and came back to be bigger and stronger than they were when they started. So sometimes 1 step back, 2 steps forward is smart, and let the body rest. You wouldn't max out every week for an extended period of time. You'd overtrain. And the same thing is true in terms of maxing out on eating and trying to hold that much mass that long.
Essentially eating deloads and
yes,
but,
yes, you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
You do deloads for training, you certainly should do deloads for eating. I don't think you have to come down to 5% bodybuilder style, but you should get under 15. I think everybody should try, if they're a strength sport guy that's you know, large in mass, they should take some time off and diet down to under 15%. If you do it right, you're going to lose less strength, you're going to lose a little. Mass moves mass, you will get a little weaker. But I could hardly bench press 400 after a bodybuilding show, and within 8 weeks I was benching 600 because I gained 35 pounds. So
this is just
the rebound is very
delayed gratification, I guess, in certain respects.
Yeah, I think you just cycle your training. You know, the Russians always talk about having a 5-year plan instead of just going full force all the time. They only max out twice a year.
Why certain vegetables and not other ones?
A few reasons. One, low FODMAP, low gas. You end up eating high gas vegetables that are hard to digest. They end up in your large intestine, and then the bacteria that breaks them down converts them into methane. Yeah. That can be adverse to digestion, both for big guys who are trying to eat a lot of food and for people that are dieting for shows, for bodybuilding and figure physique bikini shows, that end up with massive amounts of bloating and gas.
Raffinose.
High raffinose, yeah. The FODMAP, fermentable oligodimonosaccharides, high raffinose vegetables. Yeah. So that's pretty important, is that the digestion part of it. And so I use low gas vegetables like spinach, squash, root tubers like carrots, those kinds of things. So I think the vegetables are important. They serve a purpose. Fiber in particular can be of benefit for ridding toxins from the body, but I'm cautious with my athletes how much of that I throw at them, because there could be alternatives.
Here at Costco.
This is your route?
We're rolling, we're live, yeah. We're gonna do a little Costco trip. Nothing, this isn't shopping for feeding the mountain. This is just us kind of talking through what we buy, why we buy it. Currently it's the Vertical Diet 3.0, but in the Vertical Diet 4.0 I've decided to add mix and match muffins by the dozen. So this will be all new. This is your...
You said dozen, you get 2 of them?
This is your teaser.
You get 2 of them.
You can start adding these. One with each meal is probably recommended. No lettuce.
No lettuce?
No, I'm heading for spinach. Good for potassium primarily, and again, low gas vegetable. You know, we talked earlier about vegetables, but you know, it's not that the vegetables that I don't recommend, the high raffinose vegetables, are bad for you. It's just that I prefer to use those that are easy to digest. And even the ones that are the high raffinose, it's individualistic, it's dose dependent, and how they're prepared matters. And so if you cook them pretty well so they're soft, you're going to have less digestion problems from them. And if you don't eat too much of them too often, you won't have that cumulative effect of the methane from the gas in the large intestine. So just to curb bloating, it's again, not that they're bad for you, but I'm just trying to minimize digestive distress and avoid some of that anti-nutrient problem that might impede iodine absorption. So I pick low gas vegetables, spinach, squash, we'll get it's like carrots, you know, something, a root tuber is a little easier to digest.
I don't even know, man.
Just pick one, bro.
Is this part of the deal? Hard boiled, I don't even know what that is.
It's not eggs. Well, it's just cola, dude. It's cola flavor.
Anything you have to smell first shouldn't be eaten.
Yeah, right.
That's just a pretty good rule.
Yeah. Forgot the bell peppers, bro. Yes, toss the bell peppers in there.
3 times the amount of vitamin C as citrus fruits.
Yeah.
Really?
A lot of people think if they want to get vitamin C to go to citrus fruits, bell peppers are where it's at.
Way to go.
Same thing, potassium is another one that surprises people. Potatoes are actually very high in potassium, far beyond bananas.
Twice as much as bananas, yeah, for the same size serving.
Bananas are actually way low on the list, aren't they?
We're overly cautious, but we're dealing with, you know, great athletes or people with digestive issues. We got to be kind of careful, and so we try and give them the foods that are the least likely to give them distress and have the most micronutrients that they're looking for.
What I'm getting from this is that to be a great athlete, you can never fart.
It's less about farting and more about constipation.
Stan, are mushrooms vertical?
Damn it. What about psilocybin?
Mushrooms can be high gas too.
They can be, but they're a great source of vitamin D.
We don't currently, but I ask people, listen to your body, and we try and give them kind of an idea of how to prepare them and how much of them is tolerable. Even something like sweet potatoes, a half a cup might be tolerable for most people, but you'd go to a normal potato, a regular potato, that have less gas, potentially, if you've got digestion problems.
Pulp-focused orange juice?
This one's, yeah, you're right. I couldn't find the normal one with little pulp, but I'm not too concerned about it.
Okay.
There's some berries in there.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
That's a test.
The blueberries. You just wait. Did you put them in there?
Yeah, he was cool with that.
I think.
Well, sometimes folks don't do too well with citrus fruits. It kind of bothers their stomach, and so we go to other berries, a blueberry or a strawberry or even like a melon.
Yeah. The watermelon?
They could do watermelon. Usually I'll go with the kind of melon am I thinking of? Here they are right in front of us.
Incredible. Awesome.
Eating a fruit will have a little bit more fiber, so that'll be a little bit more satiating. But if you have people who are trying to gain weight, a lot of times they'll go more towards the juices without pulp, because that'll reduce the fiber and it'll stimulate the appetite a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oranges and potatoes are the 2 highest foods on the satiety index. They keep you full longer.
Why?
And, well, just because it seems that that's how people respond to those foods. There's a little fiber in them. There's some resistant starch in the potato, as you know.
Yeah.
So those are things that keep people full longer. And that's one of the things you have to mitigate on diets is hunger. That's why people come off of diets. Hunger and low energy. If they get tired or hungry, you're going to lose them on the diet.
I've found this at many convenience stores in Japan. The Calorie Mate.
Yeah? You sure that wasn't from Australia, mate?
No, but it's got a lot of kanji on the back. So for people who are always on the go, needing an easy way of consuming energy and nutrition, whether it's for breakfast, work, sports, study, or any busy time. So it seems like they're competing directly with Monster Mash.
They knocked off 5-hour energy is what they did. Looks like a sponge.
Stamped cardboard.
What the fuck is that?
It looks like a little turd. That's I'd be afraid to eat anything that yeah, again, the smell test does not give me much confidence that that would be something I'd want to eat. Oh no. Thank you for offering though, I appreciate it. That's on you, just in case it's poison.
Right.
I'm gonna wait about an hour and see how you respond and then I'll decide.
To Calorie Mate?
Like I said,
it's extraordinarily bad.
is it pretty bad?
What's the really bad?
It's very chalky chocolate.
Tastes like what?
Chalky chocolate. Very chalky.
It tastes, I don't know.
It's like one of those power bars from Gatorade or whatnot, but it doesn't have any protein in it.
Yeah. Well, I've often said I don't eat foods I like. I eat foods that like me, and I make that decision about an hour after I eat. So I'm gonna wait about an hour and see how you guys, if you guys are racing for the bathroom, I'm not trying that.
Okay.
I always said I like to build a foundation of highly bioavailable micronutrient dense foods. Potassium. Trying to get 4,700 milligrams of potassium a day is hard. You got to be deliberate about it.
Yeah.
And so I have a potato in all of my athletes' diets. Obviously Hawthorne Shaw eat them, and I just recently worked with Nadia Wyatt, who took third in the Olympia.
Yeah.
She ate a potato every single day. She ate fruit every single day. She ate steak every single day. It's part of building the foundation of micronutrients so that they're healthy.
If you haven't tried to track your potassium before, I highly encourage you to do so. Try to get 4,700 milligrams, and it'll kind of funnel you down to the right foods that you should be eating.
So get adequate potassium, and all of a sudden those problems go away. You get all the benefits of both. Plus, potassium tends to curb hunger. You get satiated. You don't have the cravings because potassium binds to glucose to form glycogen. And that helps minimize the amount of sugar cravings that people get.
So these are 90% lean. In the ground beefs, you can pretty much pick how lean you want it to be. We like it to be about 90% or better. In terms of the whole cuts or the steaks, top sirloin is going to be a little bit leaner than ribeye. The eye of round or round steaks are going to be probably the leanest that you're going to find. Some of those are almost as lean as chicken, actually.
Yeah. It's loaded with iron, B12, zinc, selenium. I mean, it's just very nutrient dense. Here's an 8812 hamburger. This is certainly perfectly fine. It has absolutely has all the micronutrients in it that we're chasing. Wow. And you know, it's more cost effective. I would just assume folks use this. With Hawthorne Shaw, like if they wanted to add more calories, I'd just have them use a ribeye because it's fattier. And if they wanted to drop calories, I would take them down to a top sirloin. This is what we initially did with both of them in order to get them to drop weight. And then we just switched them back to a ribeye when they wanted to go back up.
Same thing with Nadia.
Did the same thing with Nadia. Started her with New York steak. After a few weeks when she plateaued on her weight loss, we took her down to top sirloin. And after a few more weeks when she plateaued on her weight loss, we took her down to sirloin tip or top round. And that's where she finished. She ate round steak. She had, I think it was
12-ounce steak.
At least 12 ounces of steak the day before in the morning of competition that she was on stage. So we never went away from red meat, especially for women. They need that iron. They tend to get anemia. They tend to get amenorrhea. B12 is something in terms of their energy. So we keep the red meat in there throughout the whole prep on both ends of the spectrum for those.
What about octopus? Is that good?
Never had it.
Yeah?
No, and I'm sure it's just fine. I have I don't know if this is...
This is octopus leather.
I don't know if this is rated R or not, but I have this theory about things like that.
Yeah?
And sushi in general. And here's the theory. Okay. And this is just me. This isn't, you know...
Smell it? I can smell it over
here.
Oh
my goodness. This isn't diet advice for everyone, but I'm just saying that things with that texture should be licked and not bitten. It's just my theory. It's a personal.
Here, you want to lick this, Tom?
You gotta lick it.
You gotta smell it first.
You gotta try it.
I don't know, man. This smells really...
I think it smells all right. You gotta try it. You like this type of
I'll try the vertical
stuff.
diet tomorrow. Today, I'm on my thing.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
That one's...
Is it poultry or what?
There's a plastic bag over there.
Thus far? No.
Can't forget the oranges. We already talked about these guys here. Those go in. Keep the fruit in. I keep fruit's great for energy. I keep fruit in all of my dieters' diets. Not only, again, because we talked about the high satiety, but it actually increases body temperature. And
stimulates liver, increases metabolism.
Yeah, and you know, 80% of thyroid is converted in the liver from T4 to T3, the inactive to active form. So I know people squawk about fructose, but you can eat just about as much fruit as you want. And I think the studies have been done up to like 20 pieces a day.
It's like 200 grams of fructose a day, and there was no adverse effects.
When with fruit, and also
fruit,
it has minimal effect on blood sugars and insulin secretion.
If you're training, it'll actually give your body a second source of energy to produce ATP, because part of its path is lactic acid, and you can convert lactic acid back into ATP through Cori cycle. So if you have that with glucose, you've got another additional source of ATP.
So what is the merit behind Larry and Thor slamming some honey, which is fructose, right, before?
Well, it's all of it.
Yeah.
Fructose,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And that's an additional benefit when you get 2 sugar sources. When you get sucrose, which is fructose and glucose, and honey is 40% fructose. When you get 2 sugar sources, it doubles the rate of absorption. Typically, you can only take in about 1 gram a minute.
Yep.
When you get a second sugar source, and again, this could be dextrose and fructose, it could be dextrose and maltodextrin, it could be any 2 sources of sugar, doubles the rate of uptake. Now you're absorbing 2 grams per minute from your training. Add salt to that, you can go up to almost 3 grams a minute. Add caffeine to that, up to 4 grams a minute. And so we use that blend when we're training, say, CrossFit athletes or UFC fighters as a para-workout or intra and post to get them rehydrated faster for their second workout of the day. That's when it becomes really beneficial and critical.
Wait, caffeine?
Yes.
In small amounts, up to about 100 milligrams.
Yeah.
What if you take like a lot of it though?
This is fresh wild.
Coho salmon.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Ooh, that's the one we're getting because it's $9.99.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
Question, is there anything else in fish that you're looking for that you're getting other than the EPA and the DHA?
The protein.
Is that it?
That's the major items, obviously, is the protein and then our omega-3s, our EPA and DHA. And I know that folks get all excited about controlling cholesterol with EPA and DHA or supplements of omega-3.
Yeah.
But really the major mechanism of action when you take omega-3 supplements as it pertains to cholesterol is in terms of lowering triglycerides, is that it impedes glucose absorption from the small intestine. So it would seem to me a better way to go would just be to lower your carbohydrate intake and possibly employ some of the other benefits of more sleep, the 10-minute walks, obviously a calorie deficit, more exercise. That would also lower your triglycerides, as opposed to having to pop a bunch of omega-3s. You can get all the EPA and DHA you need from 2 servings of salmon a week. It's been shown to provide any health benefit. All this additional pill popping, particularly with supplements that you don't know have been oxidized, they're exposed to light and heat. There really aren't. So I would much prefer you get it from a fatty fish source. Sardines is another one that can give you some, if you prefer. Obviously, people are concerned about eating salmon every day. Maybe you'd increase and get too much mercury.
Yeah.
That would be less likely with sardines if you can tolerate those.
But the 2 times a week is well within the mercury recommendations.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
This is one of my favorites.
You like that one?
Yeah, it's funny looking.
Yeah.
Oh look! It's got a cartoon inside.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, it's chocolate burgers.
Little burgers.
Yeah.
Why does everything that you've eaten so far from these packages look like something you would excrete? That's what I'm trying to figure out. On to eggs, yes, huge component of the diets. This is like nature's multivitamin, the eggs. And you would think it to be somewhat counterintuitive, but when I had Hawthorne Shaw trying to improve their kidney function, this is the #1 thing that you have to throw at fatty liver disease, and that's choline. And 6 eggs a day will give you 1,000 milligrams of choline, which is kind of the recommended dose for either preventing or healing or curing fatty liver disease. Those folks that consume the most eggs have the least fatty liver disease. Saturated fats in general, actually, when you look at alcoholism in India, those that consume the most saturated fat have the lowest alcoholic-derived fatty liver disease. So I throw eggs at all of my athletes, the women in particular, because of the biotin in the eggs, skin, hair, and nails. You get people that are dieting, get metabolic adaptation, end up possibly with some low thyroid function. Couple that with them eating a ton of egg whites and excluding the yolks, they end up with biotin deficiencies, their hair starts falling out.
What's the most eggs any of your athletes are eating per day?
36 eggs a day. Brian Shaw takes in 6 eggs with each of 6 meals.
Can you say it one more time?
Yes. Now the biggest concern people would immediately have is, oh, cholesterol. Well, more recently the USDA has put forth in their latest dietary recommendations that cholesterol is no longer a nutrient of concern. You can eat as much as you want. Cholesterol from the diet does not result in elevated cholesterol in the bloodstream unless you have familial hypercholesteremia. And that's a small percentage of the population. And then they looked at athletes, or actually just ordinary individuals in their 50s and 60s, and compared 2 groups that exercised together. And those that took in an equivalent amount of protein from egg white as compared to whole eggs. The ones who had the whole eggs had an improved hypertrophy response and a significantly improved strength response as a result of eating whole eggs.
Better insulin sensitivity.
and better insulin sensitivity, of course, the choline. So all the great reasons to eat eggs. I have them in all their diets. And some people may not be able to tolerate eggs. Generally speaking, it's the egg white that causes the problem. It's the avidin in the egg white that is harder to digest. And so I would prefer that they try and keep the yolk in, maybe a hard boil and just eat the yolk out of it, to keep nature's multivitamin in their diets and eliminate the problem, which in some cases can be just the avidin from the egg white.
Plus it's a better fat source than say something like peanut butter. In order to absorb all the fat soluble nutrients, you need to have a decent amount of fat in the diet as well. So
if your strength coach or your diet coach takes the egg yolk out and puts peanut butter in, punch him in the throat. We went on and popped some milk in here. Milk is certainly fine if you can tolerate it. Some people have lactose intolerance, that's fine. We're trying to get calcium. And if you have a lactose intolerance, then those folks may be able to tolerate yogurt. We'll pick up some yogurt in just a bit. That seems to be less.
Hard cheeses.
Or hard cheeses to get your calcium. You could use like a cheddar cheese. Calcium is really important. It's important for the firing of the muscle tissue. It's not just about bones, so it's really critical for nerve signaling. One more time?
You tolerate milk okay?
I can tolerate milk okay, and again, it can be dose dependent. Somebody might be able to handle 4 ounces, but maybe not 12 ounces. So if you're lactose intolerant, try the yogurt. If that doesn't work, try the cheese. If that doesn't work, then we're on to, say, a canned salmon or sardine that's bone in. And you can get calcium from those sources as well.
All right, we got kicked out of Costco for filming.
Okay, yeah, but we've managed to pick up a few last items. Obviously the bone broth, which is huge, helps us with our digestion.
How is it bone broth? It says chicken stock.
Well, you know, they kind of use the terms interchangeably, and no, you can't use bouillon cubes, but any boiled bones will give you the collagen that you need for my recommendation for the diet.
Oh, okay.
So it could be, I'd prefer the chicken because it's the joints in particular, as opposed to the long bones from the beef, which is generally the way that they provide beef broth. But this one in particular tastes great. And then we also added
where's the rice?
Some rice.
Where is it?
With the potatoes is, again, they're very satiating. They can fill you up and possibly bloat you with too great a quantity. Now when I get an athlete that's a big athlete like a Thor or a Shaw, or somebody with a high workload like a UFC fighter or a CrossFitter, and they need a significant amount of calories just to fuel workload, then I can get them a simpler carb that's easier to digest. Hoffler takes in, I think it's 1,200 grams, almost 5,000 calories from just white rice a day. He's getting his base, his foundation of potato and fruit. You know, he's getting his 4,700 grams of potassium. But at some point, we're just fueling workload and mass. We need the easiest source to digest, and this you can eat a ton of. Even sometimes if you're trying to gain weight and it's really hard for you to eat, we'll sprinkle a little bit of dextrose on the rice, not to drive calories, but simply to increase saliva and amylase production, so it's easier to eat more of it. And then you tend to be hungry again.
You put sugar on your rice?
Just a little bit, which is what sushi is, by the way, sugar rice.
Really?
Yes, indeed. So don't get confused when you go to the sushi place and think you're eating health food.
Sean, what have you been doing a lot of lately?
Buying meals online and having it shipped to me.
Traveling.
Traveling.
And Stan, what do you do for traveling?
Traveling. I'm always traveling every weekend, so I got to figure out my meals. I got to plan ahead. It's a lot of what I do for Shaw and Thor is the logistics, making sure they have what they need when they need it, and it's convenient, so you're not foraging for food at the airport or getting room service at a hotel. It's never good for the gut. It's not good for performance. So we just walked in here cold. This is typically what I'll do. Say if I had to jump on a plane today and fly somewhere, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to prep a meal, and I'm going to use and show you how to use the thermos to heat that up, and so it'll stay hot for you while on the plane. So here we go. Probably only take 5-6 minutes. I'm always really close to being able to get a meal prepped. One thing I did in advance is I grill up all of my hamburgers. I throw bison burger or hamburger on the grill, and I'll grill up like a dozen of them. And I'll just pop them into the Ziploc bag, and these are in the fridge. So that's easy for me to throw together really quickly like we're gonna do right now. You guys are gonna learn about the Monster Mash tool. This is on Amazon for a couple bucks. One of my...
Well, is it different from a potato masher?
Well, it's different from a fork when you usually have to grind the thing. But I got that on Amazon from one of my fans, sent me a link to that. And what I'm gonna do is I'll make 2 meals. The reason is I'm gonna eat one right now, and then I'm gonna eat one to take on the road. So if you're headed out to a day of work, maybe you're a real estate agent, or you're a cop, or you're a nurse, and you have to pack a meal to work instead of eating fast food. Or if you gotta get on a plane and fly somewhere and you don't wanna eat pretzels and you wanna sit there and have a nice hot meal, then you can just put together some food to take on the road with you. And yeah, I used a paper towel holder to put my what is that stuff?
Aluminum foil.
Aluminum
foil on. Probably 8 eggs. I do 4 with each.
You scramble all your eggs, Stan, or do
No,
you?
I'm gonna do them over easy, and that's just a finicky thing about not trying to overheat the yolk. So I don't want the fats to oxidize in the yolk. It's a picky thing, but it's probably not a huge deal. If I'm traveling a long distance, I'll make 2 or 3 meals. When I went to the UK, I put 5 thermos in my roll-on, carry-on bag and put it under the seat in front of me.
You got like a collection of thermoses?
I got a collection of thermoses in there. So we'll just pull out one of these.
Okay.
And a thermos lid. Get these on Amazon for 20 bucks. I don't sell these. I'm just telling you, it's life-changing. If you have to prep meals and take them with you, you don't have to use those cold Tupperware things and chase microwaves. This will stay hot for like 12 hours. So once I get done cooking this whole meal, I'll eat half of it. I'll put the other half in here. It'll be steaming hot. I'll put this lid on it. And I'll be able to take it on the plane, or I'll be able to take it wherever I go. If I've got a seminar that day, I can have lunch. This here is just yogurt, and you could use a Greek yogurt. This one here is just a regular yogurt, plain whole milk yogurt from Trader Joe's. It tastes delicious. I think it's time to flip our eggs. And I can just let those finish off cooking. Now, again, I'll throw a couple of carrots in. If I want to throw those in a little Ziploc, I'll eat those right now. And then these rice, if you're in a hurry, this Bibigo sticky rice that I get at Costco, these things are so convenient. They're rice bowls that are pre-cooked. They take 90 seconds to heat up.
Wow.
Sometimes when I pack a bunch of my frozen meals with me, I've always got a bunch of my vertical meals in here. And if I'm heading out on the road, I can pop as many of these as I need. I might wrap 10 of them in a towel and put them in my luggage and check them onto the plane, and then stay at a place with a microwave and a fridge. And then the next day, I've still got my thermos. I can wake up in the morning, I can have a breakfast, I can heat up a couple of these and pop them in thermos, I can go to a seminar, and I've got everything I need for the whole weekend. So, I think the eggs are about
Wow,
done.
that's a great flip.
Leave those right there.
Amazing.
Look at that. I'm gonna let you do the honors.
I have to do the honors?
The mash?
The mash,
I have to mash
tool.
it?
Nice.
And you just keep pushing that down. Keep going.
Excellent form.
This will be 2 meals, yeah. We'll, generally I'd eat one now and I'd take one for the road. We can put both of these into thermos. And if they're nice and hot and the food's moist, when you put it in here, it's gonna stay hot. I've tested it with a thermopen after 10 hours and it's still 140 degrees. So it's gonna keep for a long time. This actually tastes incredible, especially after a few hours that it's sat. I just got this on Amazon recently too.
Funnel.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's awesome. So now I can just
incredible.
funnel this in there.
The sound is the most appetizing part.
I know.
Magic trick.
Isn't this amazing?
How many meals a day do you eat mash for?
I'll probably eat 3 mash a day, and I might just have a separate breakfast, and I might have a salmon or a steak for dinner, but most of the time during the day. This is hot, there's steam coming out of it. If you don't have this little tool here, and you just spoon it in, then you want to make sure and get a paper towel and make sure there's no food on the threads, because after 4 to 6 hours, that food won't taste too good. So there we have it. So if you've got a busy day, or if you're heading on an airplane, if you're a nurse or a fireman, real estate agent, you're living out of your trunk, that's the way to do it. And you never have to eat meals that aren't planned or expected. You'll have the calories that you want, food that feels good. So that's my recommendation, the thermos for the road.